Hello everyone, this is a tutorial on the first lab for the Google Cloud Essentials. And the first lab is a universal lab that can be applied for any workshop series on Qwiklabs. And it's a tour of Qwiklabs and Google Cloud. So this requires no programming experience. This is perfect for majors and non-majors. And it's really to introduce you to the website of Qwiklabs and also how other labs will operate, the format kind of way. And so to get started, you will need to log into your Dons account where you will have credits. Of course, the credits that will be given to you will be given from your DSC chapter, and this is the USF DSC chapter. And so we will be providing you the credits you need in order to access certain labs and courses on the given day of the workshop. But for this Qwiklabs tour, you do not need any credits. It is free. And even though it says 45 minutes, it should not take that long. It's a pretty quick lab that anyone can do, of course, given the time of proper reading and also personal guidance. So this is very self-explanatory in terms of the title. It is a tour of Qwiklabs, and there is subtopics for each section that we're going to go through. And the reason why this video tutorial is created is because of the trouble of how it might be difficult to navigate through through the website. And so this is designed for people who may have trouble with like following certain directions or just may need a video to reference when going through the lab themselves. So I highly recommend to start the lab and also work with the video if you need to. You can do the lab first, and if you ever get stuck, you can reference this video, or you can just do it completely without the video. But I recommend not just watching the video. It's best to really have on that hands-on experience. So I highly recommend following through. So we're going to read the instructions just before starting the lab because of the timer. I know the timer can kind of be scary because of how there's like pressure of time, but don't worry, they definitely do give a lot of time. And during the actual labs, we will have tech leads guide you through the processes that are needed and lessons and questions that you have for the concepts and topics for the labs. So a quick overview about Google Cloud. They will give you a link where you can read more about it. And I'm not going to be reading everything because this is really a brief overview of how to get through the tasks. So you can read this on your own time or as you do the lab. And then they'll give you the learning objectives, which is pretty nice to know what you're doing and why you're doing it, and some prerequisites. So as they state, it is an introductory level lab, and the first lab you should take if you're unfamiliar with Google Cloud or Qwiklabs. So this is perfect for anyone who has no prior experience, and especially with non-majors, it is kind of important for non-majors to also have some technical background experience, meaning some fundamental or intro to programming concepts, just because that this is almost a developer tool, and so some of those computer science concepts is kind of needed for programming. And if you're a non-major and you have that technical experience, that's perfect. But if not, you may need to talk to some of our tech leads to make sure that you have that background and that support you need to attend our workshops and follow through with it, because we do want to support everyone from different experience levels, but we also need a very minimum level of experience to understand certain things. And also, if you're familiar with the website already, you can just get started with these two labs that we will be going through for GCP Essentials, so you don't have to worry about it. If you are familiar with the website, then you don't need this video at all, but definitely like go through the lab if you are unfamiliar. And so they will start with a example of maybe a lab you want to do. So it could be creating a virtual machine, and they have a disclaimer that we are not taking that lab. It's just an example to get used to the interface. And so I'm going to follow the instructions very, very closely. It's really important to go through, and I know that there's a lot of text, but really do follow the instructions. And if you happen to get lost, reference this video, or when the lab comes in person, you can talk to the tech lead if you need help with that. And the tech lead will make sure to guide you through step by step. So I'm going to start with the Start Lab button. And you're going to check that you're not a robot. And so here they gave me some information about of a username, password, and group project ID. So that's going to come in handy later, and I won't deal with that right now because we are still following the instructions. So they talk about the cost of labs, and typically labs get translated into like US dollars. And so one credit is equivalent to usually $1, and that's the way you can pay for these courses because not all of them are free. But if you are a DC member, then they are free. So it's really important to join a DSC chapter to get all these free resources. And then there's the time, there is a time limit, and it's essentially, I'm not really sure why there's a time limit, but of course, like you can't really spend like 24 hours on just like a single lab because you do take up resources and they do limit that. But these are for course learning and not for real projects. You do get that experience of a real project, but because it's a more of a tutorial and walkthrough, they do have it timed. And for the score, it's almost like a grade, but it's really to check if you follow through all the instructions, if you successfully completed everything. So you can possibly earn a certificate after completing the labs and courses. And then purchasing credits, so you don't need to do that because if you're a decent member, you'll get free credits. And starting a lab. So we started the lab by pressing the button, and we can also end the lab if we finish early or if we, don't feel ready for a particular lab and just need to end early and start it another time. And then testing your understanding. So these questions you will follow through and they will tell you if you're right or not. It's okay if you get them wrong because you can always like pick another answer again. So this builds a temporary environment in Google Cloud, the start button. And then when it reaches 0, you will lose access to your temporary Google Cloud environment. True. Some labs have tracking which scores your completion of hands-on lab activities. True. This is tracking. In order to receive completion credit for the lab, you must complete the required hands-on activities. True. So this is really just like have you understand the objectives and make sure that you are understanding everything that the lab has laid out for you. And now we're getting to the access to the Cloud Accounts console. So they provided us with a username and password, and it's really essential that we follow these. You cannot use your own personal account. So currently I'm on my personal USFCA account, and I cannot use that because I need to open it for the project environment. So I will go ahead and open the console, and I will have to sign in with the given information. And then you press accept. And then you have your project ID, user password, which we did. And then we'll be taken to this website, which is the Google Cloud platform, as you can see. And then they welcome you. You have to agree to the terms in order to use everything and also select your country. And so I know there's a lot going on here, but do not worry. The tech leads will guide you through everything and only point you to the things that you need. So for here, we're going to look at the menu to see what's offered and reference the instructions. So we've signed in, we've completed these steps, and now we are at the platform. So what is not in the left panel? Well, I do not see systems admin. It's a cloud IAM identity. True. Now that we're signed in, we can understand the basics of our credentials, and now let's learn a bit about projects. So they have links to a lot of different references that you can reference, which is really cool for more in-depth reading. But because I'm just going to go through the tasks very quickly, I'm not going to go over those. And then they kind of show you how to select a project. Oh yeah, and also a quick tip is to make sure you're on the right account, which I am. Sometimes you can switch accounts, but you want to switch to the one that was provided by the lab. And there's more reading. So you would need a Google Cloud project to build anything with Google Cloud. And then Qwiklab resources is shared read only with all, meaning you don't delete it or modify it. And that's true. And then Qwiklabs resource is the project where you run all your lab steps. Oh, that's wrong, false, sorry about that. And then the top navigation. So they go through all the services they have for you for Google Cloud Platform, which is probably like the greatest thing about it is that there's so many things that you can use. And they also explain it. and they have a link to the documentation. If you're interested in reading it, it is important to read the documentation to understand things at a deeper level. And then roles and permissions. So let's see, if we open up in the navigation menu and then click the top IAM and admin, this will take you to a page that contains a list of users. So let us see how we can access that part. And then here we are. So we found ourselves as one of the members. Yeah, so we get roles for which ones we can do, and they also have the list of roles and permissions that each one offers. So we are a editor and viewer. And then viewer permissions. Oops, that's wrong. And yeah, so it's definitely okay to make mistakes and then check whichever answer is next. It's always good to learn things as you go. And then APIs and services, so they have another link to documentation that you can go through. And they have these GIFs or GIFs on how to pick the right options that they want you to do. So they want us to try this Dialogflow API. So we're going to follow what is shown here. So it's API services and dashboard. Oh, it was actually library. I'm so sorry about that. And then they have a lot of APIs here. And so we're going to pick Dialogflow API just because it was recommended in the tutorial. And then we're going to enable it as stated here. And then it's going to tell us that it's going to be enabled. And then we could probably learn more about this API. Yep, they have a video. They have all the details about why we should use it and the services it offers. So this is really good for learning different types of API. And they also have a lab called API Explorer, so you can look through it. Oh, now we have the Cloud Shell. So it's almost like a terminal, except it's specifically for Google Cloud for you to work in. And we're going to follow the instructions for it. I'm going to activate Cloud Shell and then press Start Shell. So we activated it, and then we're going to press Continue to start it. And then it's going to give us this welcome introduction. Sometimes these can take a while, so if yours is loading for a while, just give it some time. Okay, and now it's all set up and it gave us the welcome. And so now we're going to copy this command and I like to press the clipboard button to copy. Yeah, and so it has our active account, which is the one we're using for this lab. And that was the output we got. Yeah, so Cloud Shell comes pre-installed with specific command line tools and Gcloud, which we can read about. And then we can run this command. So all of this you can do and read at your own pace. Don't generate any output, so we're going to do ls to check for it. And there it is. And then, yep, there is a readme. And then nanotest.txt. So this is the text editor. I'm going to open it up. And then we will type in a message, which I'll just do something simple. You can type anything you want in here. And then once we've written it, we will do Control X keys and then type in Y followed by enter. So Control X and then Y to enter. And then cat, which will basically let you view the file. So now we can view the file. Oh, that's weird. Oh, there it is. And it displayed the output that I wanted. And now we were able to create, edit, and output the content of a file in the Google Cloud Shell. And now we have finished the lab, so congratulations if you were able to make it through. I hope that this video was a nice guide to guide you through the instructions and also let you see the outcome of the lab. And we did it pretty good amount of time. A lot of time was cut for the waiting, but like waiting for the Cloud Shell to start up. But then very simple, should be simple for most, if not all, people to understand. And now you're able to log into the Google Cloud Platform with the given username, password, and GCP project ID, and you're able to go through any lab without prior knowledge. Thank you for watching.